So we already saw that DF stands for Described File Systems, and I have added a couple of additional options here that I will tell you what they do in a second. So once you enter, press enter, you can see that there are a number of file systems that show up as a result of this command. The way Unix file system is organized, the very root of the file system, so this is like a tree structure basically. So you're starting at the very top with what is called the root directory. So this is the main focal point of where the file system starts, and then off of this root directory you are going to have several file systems, file system 1, file system 2, 3, 4, and there can be many file systems available on a Unix server. Now, just because you are able to see these file systems does not mean that you have access to them. So depending on what the administrator has decided to give you access to, you will be able to see and access. All of these file systems that we are seeing here may or may not be accessible. As you remember, our working directory was in this file system called NAS02 home, and you can see that that directory was just listed up here in the list of file systems. This first column shows you the total size of that file system. So this file system has 36 terabytes assigned to it, of which 6.7% are in use. So the second column shows you how much is being used by the entire file system, obviously not by you. This is what is free, that's still available for allocation, and then that fourth column is giving you the percent use on that particular file system. So all of these file systems are pretty large. There is, on the query cluster, we actually have a much larger file system that's currently at close to 2 petabytes in size. So you can have very large file systems available on Unix systems. So for most of today, we are going to be playing in an area called NET-SCR, and as you can probably guess from this name, SCR stands for scratch space, meaning this is an area where everyone gets to have a directory. So let's go ahead and see if you have a directory. So we're going to learn a new command. Now we are going to learn how to change directory. So we now want to go and change the directory from where we are at. So we are currently in our home directory. We want to CD stands for change directory. Again, if you wanted to look up information on CD, that you can find by using the command info. And I believe on my page here, I'll put up a link to basically a cheat sheet that gives you a summary, a synopsis of all the commonly used Unix commands. I'll put that up. I normally have that up here, but I forgot to put that link up. But I will do that after the class. Yes. Not that way, because remember, you can't just list the different kinds of commands, because some of these things are built into the operating system itself. We can actually search for it. Why don't I mean, I know what. No, I can show you what the site is. So Google is our friend. So let's go to Google, and we are going to search for Unix cheat sheet, and I know that cheat sheet is hosted at a site called FosWire. So I think it's probably the third or fourth link down here. So you can download a copy of this file. You can do it. It's just a one-page document. I find it very handy. You will probably want to print it and stick it right next to your monitor, because this is something you will probably consult quite often as you are learning some of these commands new. So this is where you would get a synopsis. I mean, obviously you're going to get a lot more information about all of these commands by using man or info, but this is just a quick summary of what minimal options are needed for some of the commonly used Unix commands. So let's get back to our session here. So I want to change directory, but now I want to go into the net scratch. So everyone has a directory with their onion under the net scratch area. Now the way these directories are going to be created is you're here under root. So one of the leaves on this tree is this file system called netstr. And under the net scratch file system, there are going to be tens of directories for all the users who are on the system. So there would be hundreds of directories that are under. So as you can see, this is sort of a tree structure that keeps getting bigger and bigger. So we're going to change directory to netstr, and this is where I'm going to show you a handy shortcut. So if you type first few letters of either a command or a directory path and then press tab, the system will generally auto-complete the full path name or the command. So that way, you have to type even less. All you have to remember, yeah. Yeah, so it will actually be helping you with prompting different things. So now netstr is the single things, but in case if I just press tab here, so these letters are still not Unix. So I have to get to a point where the letters that I have typed become unique, and then it will fill in the rest. So I'm using my onion as the directory that I want to move to. You should all replace your onion in this location. So you obviously don't want to go to my directory. You want to go into your own netstr, and then this will be your onion. So these forward slashes, which you notice are sort of the opposite kind of slashes than the ones you're used to using in Windows, are representing, so the very first slash represents the root directory, then obviously follows the file name. The next slash represents the hierarchical structure that is present under netstr. And then I'm going into a specific directory that's, let's say, located here. Some of you are going into your own directories, which will be located on the leaves of this tree structure here. And then the final trailing slash indicates that this is the current location you're going to end up in. So let's go ahead and press return. How do we find out which directory we ended up in? Yeah, you got it. So you can either scroll up or type the command again. And everyone should be in their own netstr onion directories. Right. So we are learning how to navigate. So we started at the root. We went down to the netstr directory by providing the first name. And then by providing the next slash and our onion name, we traveled from this location down this path down to our directory. Unix paths are relative, and this is something we'll learn hopefully later today. You can actually travel from this location to that location by just traversing up here and then going down the directory structure by using the appropriate paths. Everyone clear about how to change directories? Yeah. So the slash is roughly equivalent to the C drive, is how you can think about it.
Why would I want to go to my own
as I said, on the Unix file system, you're going to have access to certain directories. And netstr, your onion, is the scratch space that you can basically run programs in. You can store some data temporarily while it's being actually worked on the cluster here, for example. You won't have access to, like for example, you may NET-SCR is slightly different because everyone, I think, has read permissions on a lot of the directories, unless we will talk about the directory permissions. So you actually may be able to go into my directory. I'm not exactly sure how mine is set up. But it's possible that you will not have access to all of the directories or even all of the file systems. So the reason you're going to be working in specific locations is because those are the places where you have access to read, write, or execute programs in. And by navigating the directory structure, you're basically accessing an area where you can either write files or read files from. Your home directory will allow you to write files and store programs there, but there is a quota limit of 10 gigabytes. So the largest size of data you can store there is going to be 10 gigabytes. So once you go over, so if you try to stuff, for example, a 20 gigabyte file in there, you will only get a system error saying that you're exceeding your quota limit. Working in NetScratch Onion directory is, this area is not subject to quota, meaning,